Let's talk about what happened, shall we, in North London yesterday. Arsenal taking on Manchester United. A familiar tale maybe for Arsenal fans over recent weeks. Plenty of possession, but not taking their chances. And in the end, it would be Manchester United who advance thanks to a penalty shootout victory. And Mario, I really want to start with you because I want to take you through your emotions as a Dutchman, seeing Xerxes go up and take that all-important fifth penalty. We know the struggles that he's had since he arrived at Old Trafford, what happened in the Newcastle game. How are you feeling? We've lost Mario. We were talking before. I think everyone...
I was nervous.
Yeah, everyone was going...
Never mind Mario.
Oh, no.
Listen, you feel for Xerxes. Arrived at the club as a young player. I'm not sure what the expectation was, but we've all been young players once upon a time, and no one wants to see any young player kind of be handed the booing from your own, the treatment from your own fans as he did a couple of weeks ago. And then, so you feel that this is a moment that you are very nervous, that if he doesn't score, that treatment doubles down. And again, he's a young player, and we have to keep reminding ourselves of that. So, with no horse in the race, I just wanted Xerxes to score for just that reason. Because I felt that he didn't deserve that treatment, certainly wouldn't have deserved it twice on. I was as nervous as anybody for him stepping up.
Yeah, I was watching with Kieran and Craig, and it was almost a collective groan from us, Frank, going, oh, no!
No, the thing is, I go back to your question about Xerxes. I don't understand why everybody thinks that because you shoot the fifth, that you have the most pressure, that you have more pressure than the others. I mean, don't you think that the first four, they didn't have any pressure, and if, as they missed, they wouldn't have any problem with that. It's all important. And because you are the last, the star position, as we call, because Ronaldo and Messi and some others, Mbappe wanted to shoot the last to get all the lights, the limelight. So I'm fed up with that. I mean,
no,
the guy who
on,
shoot the
Frank.
first...
This is a kid who's been under a lot of pressure. He could have quite easily not made eye contact. I don't want to take it. I don't want to put myself in that position. Yeah, he's got the character.
Yeah, but it would have been without the first four. It would have been useless.
I know, but why are you... It's a nice story, and you're turning it into, I don't know why people made a big fuss about this. Anyone can take a fifth penalty.
You want to create a nice story about nothing. I mean, that doesn't exist for me. I'm sorry. You know, I've been shooting penalty the first. I was shooting penalty the first. I always scored, but I would have missed. I would have missed. The fifth one would have been useless. We would have lost. So I'm sorry. This story, your beautiful fairy tale, is useless.
Frank's got his jersey on. He's ready to go, man.
I know. It's his penny jersey.
Frank's in an island, didn't he?
And Mario, I imagine Frank is very much in the minority in that this was a nice story, isn't it?
I think it's an important story for him, the way he took that penalty, you know, because him being the last, you understand, I know what Frank says, you can count it out or whatever, but for him, we have to remember, Xerxes was the kid that was taken off after 30 minutes, walked into the dressing room, walked back, was a good thing that he did, and it comes in a moment like this, you know, taking the winning penalty. Amorim, he said it himself as well, he said that's the game that we're playing. Football can change you really quickly. You either go up, or you go down really, you know, for a certain period of time, and then you get into a crucial moment, because you also have to remember the FA Cup. I mean, Frank and I won it together, and winning the FA Cup, you don't know, it might be the only trophy that Man United can win this season. And that is why it's so important. So I understand we can jump about it, but this penalty was a heavy penalty to take, to go into the third round and making sure you knock out Arsenal.
Even I wanted him to score.
Wow, Stevie.
As he's walking up, I've got the wee guy on the shoulder going, oh, I don't want him to score. And I've got the other wee guy going, oh, no, if he misses this, it'll be a disaster.
Yeah.
So even I, at the end of the day, was like, you know what, I don't mind if he scores.
No.
I felt it, the whole watch.
Who would even...
We've all been young players.
Stevie, overall, what does this mean for Manchester United, if anything, going forward?
Well, I think the biggest thing over the last 2 games is that United have found a group of players that will run hard for each other.
Right.
That's the only thing we've found.
Yeah.
If you want to start talking about the way they play the game and all the other technical things, then, you know, they're not much different. But the one thing that they have shown is that they're going to run an extra yard for each other. This group of players, he seems to have kind of relied on, certainly in the last couple of games, they've got some pride.
And that's a good starting point.
That's the only place you start. You don't get anywhere unless you've got a group together that's willing to back each other up when it matters and run for each other when it matters. And that's what they've found over the last couple of games.
Mario?
Yeah, no, he's right. Because they played like the system that they played, it was identical to the system they played against you. Look, they did well the Liverpool game. They come into this game, did well. We know what they did against City and took them, what is it, maybe 4 games of, conceding 2 goals in each game they played. So now coming into this game, I knew the way they played the tactic, everybody knew. They're going to sit, they're going to wait. Arsenal had a tactic of trying to pull them out, going all the way deep in and try to make them open up. And you saw that there were moments where Man United could push all the way to press and they just waited. And they waited for the break. And the way he took that goal was incredible, Fernandes. And just the way they played, everything worked out. I think there was a game where the 2 captains were very important. And we could see how they demonstrated that. Odegaard in picking the ball up in the first half, trying to get to the pockets. And then Fernandes sitting and waiting and being very disciplined. And that's probably the hardest thing that he's playing right now. Being disciplined, because he's not a player that likes to sit. He wants to go all over the field. But at this point with Amorim, he's not allowing him. He said, you sit and you wait. And when you wait, your moment will come. And he clearly took it.
Meanwhile, for Arteta, another frustrating night. Of course, this game off the back of that defeat against Newcastle in the first leg of the Carabao Cup. It's quite extraordinary. When you take a look, they had 49 shots in the last 2 matches. And out of that, they just mastered 1 single goal. This is what Arteta had to say about that.
Incredible how you don't win a game. That's basically to sum up the dominance, the superiority in relation to your position, and everything that we did to try to win the game. And that's it. That we didn't deserve. We didn't get what we deserved, clearly. But there is an element that is about putting the ball in the back of the net. They did it once, and with the amount of situations, chances, penalties that we had, we didn't. And we go home extremely sad, but I cannot be prouder of my players on the team, individual, collectively, what they produce. Like on Wednesday against Newcastle, against 2 top teams, it is incredible. But we haven't got rewarded, and that's the downside to it.
Do you feel sorry for him, Frank?
Yes, for the first time I feel sorry, because first he doesn't try to find any excuses. He didn't find that the ball was too light, that, I don't know, the grass was too high, or the ref was too bad, whatever it could have been. But he accepted what happened to his team, and they were unfortunate. They should have won because of the chances that they had. But we go back and we still have to blame him for the fact that he didn't get a striker. And we all agreed, all pundits for ESPN FC show mentioned that he needed a striker. And now he pays the price of not getting the right striker. And that's maybe why he didn't win against Newcastle and yesterday against Manchester United.
But is it not like when you shake up a bottle of Coke, Shaq? Inevitably, at some stage, the lid's going to come off and all these goals are going to come spurting out.
Yeah, but if you don't have a lid, then all you're doing is just wetting yourself down in the end.
What a lovely analogy. Clip that off the Emmys.
I don't get it. I don't feel sorry for Arteta at all. He had to know he needed a striker. Everybody knew Arsenal needed a striker in the summer. Arsenal signed. Listen, and to Stevie's point, Jesus comes in, starts a couple of seasons ago, does really well, gets injured, never rediscovers that form. It is glaringly obvious that Arsenal need a striker. You sign Marino. You sign Calafiori. You sign Raheem Sterling. You do not sign a striker. You sign players to cover in positions that you are already well looked after, that you already have similarly styled players playing in. Okay, if you want to make the argument that you need depth and you need competition, fine. But you've got no depth, you've got no competition at centre forward. And now all of a sudden, we're surprised that you get 49 chances but score 1 because you don't have a goal scorer. It's as simple as that. So for me, while to Frank's point, yes, it's at least refreshing to not have some other crazy excuse to try to dissect. The Arsenal's need was glaringly obvious and was not addressed. And that's down to one person.
Right then, Shaq, I'm glad you're on today. What was Raya doing during the penalty shootout?
I'm not sure. I thought, you know, and I watched that penalty shootout a couple of times, and I thought a lot of his actions were really odd. Not only was he going early, but it seemed to be 2 movements. That he was taking a step early, and then had this big dive. It wasn't even fluent.
Right.
So you telegraph which side you're going early, way too early, and then you commit to it with this big dive. And at this level, okay, maybe the argument is if you go that side and you're right in the corner, he's going to make that brilliant save. But at this level, those players stepping up, see you go early, could just roll the ball into the other side. And rolling into the other side, you don't have to hit side netting. So I watched that penalty shootout a couple of times, and I really am struggling to understand what Raya's thinking was. And I've spoken about the mentality about penalty shootouts and what goalkeepers, you know, how they approach it. On the one hand, you want to say five penalties, you probably have 2 regular takers in there, 3 who are nervous.
Yeah.
And those are the 3 you're playing for. You're playing for those 3 who are nervous, who are unsure. Xerxes.
But if you rolled out the red carpet.
Exactly. But if you commit to one side, that early, you're in a hiding, you're in absolute hiding to nothing. So it was, I really can't speak because I can't speak to what his mentality going in was, or what that, as I say, it was really a kind of 2-movement dive that was just, you're not going to save anything that way.
Frank, why were you laughing so much at that?
Because I think that was the funniest penalty shootout I ever seen from a goalkeeper. Because, I mean, the third, just look at the third penalty. I think Raya is already outside of the goal when the guy shoots. It's amazing. I've never seen that in my life, where, even the worst penalty taker would have been surprised to see the empty net, the empty goal. That was crazy. The third one is amazing. I don't know what he was doing. It's crazy because he's one of the best goalkeepers this season so far. But on penalty shootout, look at the third one. Look, bye-bye, he's already out. That's absolutely crazy. I can see that. When I was shooting penalties, I had an eye on the ball. But of course, it was like a rhythm. It's like a music. You feel the goalkeeper. And if it goes one way just before, your second step, it's going to go left, right, left. Or maybe it's going to go left, right because it's your third step. It's like a music. It's like a rhythm. And he was going like away 10 steps before. And that was, okay, where he's going to go? It's going to be easy. And you just have to put where you choose because he's not there anymore. That's absolutely crazy.
Mario, do you want to add anything?
I saw this, you know what? He would give me some confidence by shooting, I'm telling you right now. Yeah. Because I'm not a good penalty shooter. I will not try, but this guy will really help me out. I would be really grateful because he went early. It was really early seeing that. And the way Xhaka highlighted, I didn't even look at it like that, but he really made... Oh.
Well, let's talk a little bit of Arsenal and a bit more as well in the company of our chief reporter, Kaveh Solokol, who is alongside me. Good afternoon. Let's start with Arsenal then. A lot of chat about their need for a striker, but it could be a midfielder's arrival that's imminent.
Yes, good news for Arsenal supporters because they're closing in on signing Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Now, he won't actually join until the summer, but he is a player who's got a €60 million release clause. That's about £51 million. Lots of other clubs have been interested in signing him. For instance, he was close to joining Liverpool last summer before that deal collapsed at the last minute. But Arsenal have been in talks to sign him. I think Mikel Arteta has played a big part in convincing the player that Arsenal is the right move for him. And I think it makes sense for Arsenal as well, because there are question marks over the long-term future of midfielders like Jorginho, Thomas Partey, who are out of contract in the summer. So it looks like Arsenal just doing a little bit of forward planning. I think it would have helped them if he was able to move this month, but it looks like Real Sociedad is saying no, we want him to stay until the summer. But it looks like in the summer they will be getting Martin Zubimendi. Of course, they've done a lot of business with Real Sociedad in the past as well. Mikel Merino, they signed. They've also had players like Martin Odegaard, who used to play for Real Sociedad as well. So good news for Arsenal fans. Perhaps not the news they wanted, because they want a forward, but they will be getting a very, very good midfielder if this deal is completed. And this was a development that was first reported by Sami Mokbel in the Daily Mail earlier today.
Right, let's have a word with Merce about that top-of-the-table clash that took place at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest were winning through Chris Wood, but Diogo Jota off the bench to equalise for Liverpool. And not for the first time this season, Merce. Arne Slot changing things around in the second half and getting his rewards.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that. You know, you can bring on someone of Jota's quality who can come on and score goals, and he hits the ground running when he comes on. Doesn't take too long to warm up. But Liverpool were very good second half. First half, they were really poor. Really poor. Forest, high energy. Obviously, that energy was going to sliver away in the end. Do you know what I mean? They couldn't keep on working the way they working. But yeah, I thought Forest give a good account of themselves. Liverpool be kicking themselves. Second half should have gone on and won the game. But now, personally, I think, and there's no disrespect to Forest, who I expect to beat Southampton on Sunday, I see it as a shootout between Arsenal and Liverpool. I think Arsenal are the only ones who can catch Liverpool now.
So Forest had to win that for you tonight?
I think so. I think, yeah, I just watched Forest there, you know. They scored and they got in front, but they weren't in the same... I don't want to be disrespectful. They weren't in the same class as Liverpool. You know, they worked hard, but they huffed and puffed. They were, you know, kicking the ball away at times. It was a good result for them. If they get in the top four, they pulled up trees. Absolute pulled up trees, because they have to work like that every single week to get a result. Probably not this weekend against Southampton, but they probably... I take that back. They probably will, because it's after the Lord Mayor show. People are going to turn up and think, well, we're going to slaughter Southampton. Southampton got nothing to play for now. They can go out and they're a free spirit. They can just go out and enjoy themselves. So Forest will be fighting for top four. Liverpool will only be looking at Arsenal now, and that'll be it. I don't see anybody else that can catch. And that's going to be hard without Saka.
Forest taking 4 points off Liverpool this season. And we talked about the goalkeeper and the defenders before the game. They're two centre-backs, Forest, tonight. 30 clearances between them.
Yeah.
The defensive effort to earn a point in that second.
Oh, Murillo was out on his feet. He was out on his feet, absolutely out on his feet, absolutely outstanding. The two centre-halves do what it says on the tin. They defend. They get their bodies in the way, and they're out-and-out defenders. And the goalkeeper was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Made really good saves. You know what? Williams was good. Williams had Salah. Salah didn't do much tonight. Again, you know, had a couple of shots that were wild. But, yeah, Forest done very well. They worked their socks off. I mean, they got 41 points. It's absolutely phenomenal. They're nearly on 2 points a game. I mean, over 21 games in a Premier League season where, you know, anybody beats anybody. Especially, no disrespect, but like a Forest. Do you know what I mean? Even if they go to, when they've been to Leicester away, you know, they went and beat them easily. But that was still another heads or tails sort of football match. So that's what they've been up against this season. Phenomenal, yeah. But I think if they can get in the top four, I think they've brought up trees. But I think now the only team, if Arsenal can win tomorrow, they go 4 points behind. Liverpool got to go to Brentford. Arsenal beat Villa. When you've got midweek games, this changes very quickly. If Arsenal can go back-to-back and Liverpool go and draw or get beat at Brentford, and then look how quickly that'll change. That'll be 46-48. Don't get me wrong, it could end up 50-40 by the end of the week. Who knows? But that's how quickly this can change, and they'll be kicking themselves, Liverpool.
Welcome back. I just want to reiterate that breaking news, and that is that Gabriel Jesus has suffered a rupture to his ACL. We know what happens with ACL injuries. It looks like he is going to be out for at least the rest of the season. I mean, James, we spoke about it, we touched on it a little bit, but for Gabriel Jesus to have got back in the Arsenal side, to be playing well, scoring goals, timing is everything in football, and this just feels like such bad timing, not just for the player, but for the club as well.
Yeah, he looks in such brilliant form in those games against Crystal Palace. He looked like he could be that short-term fix for Arsenal. I think when Arsenal signed Zinchenko and Jesus 2.5 years ago now, it felt they could be the missing pieces in the jigsaw, and that title-winning experience would take Arsenal to the next level. Unfortunately, we've not seen that, but in recent weeks we have seen Jesus return to the sort of player that Arsenal thought they'd sign. But I think when you look at the last two matches, Arsenal failed to score from 23 attempts against Newcastle last week, 26 shots to go ahead against Manchester United at the weekend. So when Jesus and Havertz have been in the team, they've not been scoring those chances. Arsenal do need a proven goal scorer now. I think they showed 2 seasons ago. We had Ødegaard, we had Martinelli and Saka all overperforming in terms of their XG, and they all each scored between 10 and 15 goals, and that got Arsenal so close to winning the title. But Martinelli and Ødegaard haven't shown that level of performance from an attacking point of view for the last 18 months when it comes to Martinelli. Ødegaard has been slightly different. He's sometimes laying on the assist before the assist. But I think they need somebody who's going to bury those chances now. It's simple as that. Somebody who scores 20 goals a season. The difficulty in January is there's not many of those around, and those that are around, it's going to cost a serious amount of money. Of course, Arsenal have lost Edu. They've got somebody acting as their sporting director now. They're recruiting for the sporting director. So that's playing a part as well. Clearly, Arsenal fans will feel that perhaps we've invested too heavily in goalkeepers, defenders and defensively minded midfielders rather than focusing on the attack. Because ultimately, it's been those same players who have been asked to go again the last 3 years for Arsenal.
Obviously, with Saka's injury as well, Dan, how much pressure is now on that man, Kai Havertz? Because it does feel like he's their only option now, and he's their only man that they can rely on sort of in that number 9.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only recognised number 9.
And
you could argue he's not number 9, couldn't you? So it's a difficult situation for him, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, a lot of pressure on Arteta and Arsenal now as well. You just wonder, what kind of striker is it that Arsenal are looking for? I wrote a list earlier of players that have either moved in the summer or could have moved in the summer. So Osimhen, Toney, John Duran, Solanke, Guirassy. You know, what Arsenal weren't in for any of those. Obviously, there was murmurs with Toney at times, but Arsenal weren't ever in for any of those strikers. What profile of striker is it that Arsenal are looking for? Because I genuinely do believe that if the right striker was out there and had been available in the last 2 or 3 windows, I think Arsenal would have backed Arteta and they'd have gone and got them. This is more just my own personal feeling. I think Arteta hasn't found that striker available or that's gettable that he thinks suits the way Arsenal play. And you can talk about the way Arsenal have changed this season and maybe they're a bit slower, maybe they're a bit more predictable. But they've turned themselves into an elite team over the last few seasons, which then makes it harder to take that next step and sign that right centre forward. But I just wondered, who is that forward? Is it Isak, who obviously isn't available? Who is that striker that Arsenal
It's got to be Isak, hasn't it? But you look in this window, it would cost possibly as much as £150 million. Would Newcastle even let him go if a bid over £100 million came in this window? We know Newcastle have battled with PSR constraints, but in the form they're in right now, the form Isak's in right now, they're not going to let him go in this window. Potentially in the summer, as they look to try and comply with the rules once again, we know the rules are going to change next season. But he's the man Arsenal need. They need someone who's going to guarantee you 20 goals a season. He's so handy linking up players well. He's such a brilliantly gifted player. Arsenal have tried loads of different ways of trying to score goals over the course of the last few seasons. At times it's worked, but at the moment, with Saka missing, you really do see how frail this side is from an attacking point of view. It feels like we're almost relying on the set pieces now for Arsenal to score those goals. And when they're not scoring from set pieces, from open play, you are struggling a little bit because even when they're getting the chances, they don't have that man there that's burying them.
Do you feel like Arsenal are going to panic? They didn't panic in the summer when everyone said they needed a striker and they didn't get one. Then the summer when this sort of desperation, I should say, has probably gone up a little bit more with that injury. But do you see Arteta panicking at all?
No, I think they've been pretty sensible in terms of their spending over the last couple of years. And look, I think everyone. Everyone loves a hot take, don't they, at the moment? But I think we just need to have a little step back and look at the realism of the situation. I mean, at the start of the season, Kai Havertz was the second coming. Do you know what I mean? And now it's been almost laid bare in a game in the FA Cup that the story is completely the opposite. So Arsenal are capable of scoring goals. They have had a bit of a rough patch, but they weren't that far away from Manchester City last season, 6 points. And I think everyone's been a little bit surprised at the uptick in Liverpool. I don't think anybody really expected them to be this good at this point in the season. So, do I think...
Marcus Rashford sends strong message to Ruben amid Man United transfer rumours. Manchester United winger Marcus Rashford did not feature in the squad that secured a victory against Arsenal in the FA Cup on Sunday. However, Rashford is clearly focused on maintaining his fitness as Ruben Amorim considers his lineup for the upcoming clash with Southampton on Thursday night. Since returning to the United team at the end of December, Rashford has struggled for form, having been an unused substitute in the recent loss to Newcastle. His absence from the team against Manchester City raised eyebrows, and it was further speculated that illness kept him out of the Liverpool match as well. Yet, it appears he has overcome these setbacks, as he took to social media to share a glimpse of his rigorous training regimen. In a recent Instagram story, Rashford showcased himself working hard on an elliptical machine, his hood up and determination evident. As the interest in his signature grows, all eyes are now on whether Rashford can make a swift return to the starting lineup. Reports from Men's Sport indicate that he has turned down 3 offers from Saudi Arabia and has no desire to move to Turkey. Rashford's ambition is clear. He seeks a move to a club that can elevate his career and reignite his prospects for the England national team. Links to prestigious clubs such as AC Milan, Napoli, Barcelona, and PSG have surfaced, and last week, reports suggested that Rashford's agent and brother, Dane, was in Italy negotiating potential deals. With his future in question and transfer rumours swirling, Marcus Rashford is sending a resounding message. He is ready to reclaim his place among the elite.